What's going on, guys? It is MurderInc here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to be talking about Fayne, the probably most anticipated and highly sought after epic for this current fusion going on here today. Now I do have a Fayne, I do have her maxed. I did get rather lucky with my pulls and the level 60. I have two, I forget this champion's name, I believe it's Baroth. I do have this guy, Kaiden, as well. I'm still missing this Ripper Fist Void, but a lot of people were wondering why I wanted to go after this legendary, and honestly, I really want the Sausage Frog a lot. I'm definitely going to coin the term Sausage Frog, and that is going to be the name of this champion. Instead of saying Vergum or Vergumkar, he's just going to be the Sausage Frog. I think it looks really cool, and I'm going to do everything in my power with the gear I have to make him one of the coolest champions in the game based on the gear I have, and pretty much just trying to see what I can do. As many of you know, how a champion looks means a lot to me, and a lot of these champions are really cool, which is why I did pull a few shards to see what I could actually get. So now let's talk about Fayne. If you're not familiar with her kit, I'm sure some of you are, but just in case you weren't, let's go over this attack-based skinwalker very quickly, just so you have the basic rundown on what she can do. So she has an A1 ability that has a chance on each hit to steal 5% of the turn meter from the enemy, which can definitely be good, and we'll go over where that can be good. We have this A2 that can place two 5% poison debuffs, as well as a 50% attack down, which is the strong one, for a 2 debuff duration. And finally, the A3 here, which is probably the main part of the kit. We have a triple hit, one hit applying that defense down, one hit applying the weaken, and another giving the champion a small heal. This is a 100% chance once fully booked. And we have yet another champion that applies defense down and weaken as an epic, except for this time it's on a 3 hit instead of a 2 hit like it is on Ana. Now, one important thing I want to talk to you about is the value of booking. If you're not going to go for the fusion and this is your main look, be very careful when you book this champion. If you don't know this already, any champion that has a 4-turn cooldown and a 3-turn cooldown means that this champion will have both of these cooldowns up and active at the same time in the rotation, which can be very harmful since this is an attack down poison as well as a defense down and weaken. Now, defense down and weaken has a ton of benefit for your team as far as masteries go. However, attack down is equally as strong, if not more important, to make sure it's always on the boss, on top of the skill also providing 2 5% poisons. So definitely keep that in mind when going forward. Both of these cooldowns will be active at the same time, and as far as the AI goes, both of them are very strong depending on which debuff is not active on the target. So obviously it's going to apply that. However, the effect it can have on your team for not having a defense down and weaken is very large. Since this is a 4-turn cooldown and it is a 3-turn duration, this is giving your team the opportunity to now have 2 turns without a defense down and weaken. One of them could in fact be a counterattack turn, which is suboptimal for any team you are running, especially in the clan boss as mentioned. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to take Fayne and go ahead and run her in the Fire Knight. She's going to be weak affinity for any type of dragon run, so you're not going to want to use her in dragon. Fire Knight is the most optimal based on how many times she's actually hitting her opponents. The team we're running is Lissandra, Fayne, Ushan, Zavia, as well as Venus here. So let's take this for a spin and see how well this champion can actually do. The first thing we want to look at here is what do her multipliers actually show for this champion. I was expecting a lot. Unfortunately, as we saw there, 72,000. She doesn't hit extremely hard, but she does hit hard enough. She is built for full damage. I'm going to go over the gear I gave her. For this, she is currently geared for a clan boss team, which we're going to get to in a little while in this video here. As you can see, 18 to 22,000 on that triple hit there. Once again, nothing insane. I would have liked to see higher numbers on her. However, we do have to remember that she is in fact an epic. She's not a legendary, so she probably shouldn't have a legendary quality kit, or else we would end up with a second Madame Ceres, which I'm sure people wouldn't mind since this is a fusion and it would be accessible to a lot of players since this is only an epic in the fusion process. However, they elected not to go that route, and I can't really complain too much. So let's see how she does against this shield here. I'm going to start with our triple hit here. Looks like we are going to take this shield down fairly quickly. This is that A2 hitting for 24,000 without a defense down or weaken on the boss. Moving on to Fushan. This is the A1 where it has the chance to steal the turn meter, which can be good. However, the chance isn't that high, so it's not going to be a consistent or a focal point for someone like a Fire Knight. Since if you have to rely on that, it's probably not going to work out in your favor going forward. So this isn't the fastest run, obviously this isn't the most optimal team. It's really just to show Fayne's damage here, 602,000 compared to 1.1 from Fushan. Obviously Fushan being the AoE damage dealer here, and Xavia being the debuff snap champion at 1.5 million damage. So overall, Fayne's definitely a good champion. I would have loved it if she was defense based instead of attack based, but since she is attack based, what we have to try first is something like an unkillable team, and I already did that. I pre-recorded for you guys, so let's get into that next after looking at her base kit and base stats really quickly while I show you her gear. So as far as gear, I have her in a relentless set as well as a cruel set. As mentioned, I did want to see what her damage output was going to be. She has very high base attack, which kind of gave me hope. This was misleading in my eyes because with 5.1 thousand attack, 250% crit damage, she is not hitting hard at all, which means with much lower stats, the numbers are going to be significantly worse, which once again is unfortunate. We have 221 speed. Another unfortunate takeaway from this champion is 727 base defense. You really hate to see it. This is going to hinder her in pretty much every single non-unkillable clan boss team, making it extremely gear dependent, extremely gear heavy, on making sure she can survive in Ultra Nightmare, in Nightmare, even in Brutal with a low base defense like this. Now, as mentioned before, what she does have going for her is the fact that she has a defense down, weaken, attack down, as well as a poison. While they are longer cooldowns, this can definitely fit properly into a speed team with a revive champion, keyword revive champion, making sure if she does fall victim to an unlucky crit, she is being revived based on her, in my opinion, ridiculously low and unnecessary base defense. As far as masteries on this champion, we have the typical unkillable mastery tree with War Master instead of Giant Slayer, and the defense tree. Now let's take a look at this run here, and we'll skip a little bit ahead until I start getting more comfortable with this run. It's going quicker. So we have Fayne all the way to the left here. We have Double Santa, Fushan in the middle, and we also have Turvold on the far right. This is a 2-to-1 speed team, and I felt like this was going to be a very good fit for Fayne in an unkillable setting, since she does have a very long cooldown on that defense down and weaken, which definitely helps Turvold out and making sure he provides lots of damage. Now this was my first damage check on this champion. I didn't bring her into campaign, anything else. I used potions strictly to level this champion up, as well as feeding other rares or epics to this champion. So this was my first damage check on her to see what her potential is, and I don't believe at any point, unless I got extremely lucky with RNG, did she in fact actually fill up the turn bar with poisons, which was something I expected. I wasn't expecting to fill up the poison debuff bar at all, even with getting this. One thing I can tell you is if you're going to run her in a team where she is using Relentless gear, you're going to want to use that A3 and A2 over that A1 as much as possible. Even though you are reapplying the defense down and weaken, the more times you can apply that, the more times the AI of the champion is actually going to apply the poison instead of that defense down and weaken. As we mentioned before, both of the cooldowns will come up at the same time, and this is in fact a smart AI, so whichever buff is in fact missing, she's going to go to apply those buffs instead, excluding poisons. So overall, as we can kind of see and take away from this run so far, she is definitely not a Dracomorph replacement. She's definitely not a Venus replacement. However, if you don't have a defense down weakened champion, she is going to fill that role. She is not going to fill the role as an attack down champion unless you have someone like a Septimus, possibly someone like a Bulwark, or a Warlord in your clan boss team to extend that attack down buff. And once again, this is a 2-to-1 ratio team. This is not a normal 1-to-1 ratio team. However, even in a normal team, she's going to have defense down and weaken up. If you book this champion, the only thing that's going to be suspect and questionable are the poisons as well as the attack down, as I just mentioned. So now that we've kind of gotten the rundown here, let's go and look at the damage recap so we can kind of compare, and I'm going to give you other champions to compare this to in case you're thinking about a swap, to let you know what the realistic damage is. So as we can see on our screen right here, we have 18.5 million damage from Fushan, 37.5 from Turvold, 26 million from Fayne, 11 from the first Sir Nicholas, and 9 million from the second. Now if you want to compare Fayne to someone like a Dragomorph does on average about 12 million more damage than Fayne. If you want to compare this to a Razin in this same type of team, he does around 4 to 5 million more damage than Fayne will do, simply because he's a defense-based champion, he's Giant Slayer, and he hits extremely hard, as opposed to Fayne, who just has the defense down, weaken, attack down, as well as poisons, and obviously attack down isn't going to help you. However, once again, this team was still able to do 102.8 million damage with Fayne as the key player here in placing that defense down and weaken, since I did not run any accuracy on Fushan or Turvold. So regardless, if you are looking for a champion to apply that defense down and weaken, she is absolutely going to be the answer to that, and she's going to help a lot of players out if you do plan on getting her and skipping this fusion. Moving to the next topic that we have is going to be a Spider 20 team, and she's going to be better than some champions that you probably wouldn't suspect on first glance based on how she works. So unfortunately I don't have my champions geared, however I'm pretty confident I can throw something together fairly quickly to make this work out and show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So if anyone has an HP burn champion, they know the biggest issue for HP burn champions is you are killing the spiderlings way too quick. Now what Fayne adds to this that other champions don't is she only applies defense down and weaken to the spider and not the spiderlings, making sure they have more health for any type of AoEs that are actually going to come out and potentially cause some harm to the rest of your team. And after looking at this, I'm pretty sure Septimus isn't the most optimal route to go with it. We are going to go with Lysandra, get rid of that Kaimar. We are going to add our second Cold Heart. I'm really hoping these champions have gear based on the total team power. I don't think they're all geared, but let's take this for a spin. I'm going to take it off of manual, or off of auto rather, just to show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So we're going to start with pushing down that turn meter. And now this is where she shines where other champions do not shine. She's going to use this A3 ability, place that defense down and weaken, hopefully. Now we're going to place our HP burn here. We're going to use our first Heart Seeker, second Heart Seeker, and honestly from here we're going to A1 and just hit auto and kind of see how this is actually going to play out here. So now we have attack down, probably not something you're going to need. Like I said, she does have that chance to reduce the turn meter here, which is good. And based on the other champions I am using, I have lots of turn meter manipulation, which is also good. But you're not going to rely on Fayne to be reducing turn meter, since it is way too RNG for that to happen. Now that we saw on manual and how well this actually works, let's see on auto and how good her AI is actually going to be for this, as well as the other champions I kind of just threw together here. So her AI is actually going to use her A2 first, which is unfortunate for people who are planning to use this as a, I want to say 100% win rate team. Now this will work with Cold Hearts, even though my Cold Heart isn't going to get a chance, or my first, and possibly both of them for that matter. So okay, so one of them did get a chance to in fact use that Heart Seeker, the other one died because obviously this team isn't tuned at all. However, what we're really trying to do is see the relevance of HP burn, and we wanted to see for ourselves what kind of AI Fayne actually ended up having, and as we saw, it is definitely suboptimal from the look of it, which is very unfortunate to see. If she would start with her defense down and weaken, she would be the ultimate spider champion. The fact that she doesn't definitely takes a lot of value out of this, since you either have to wait for Relentless proc, a second turn, or you're going to have to manual all of your runs in the spider. You hate to see it, and it kind of gives you some insight as far as Plarium's AI and how they prioritize attack down over defense down and weaken, which in theory that is correct. However, it's definitely suboptimal for speed farming, since speed farming does not take into consideration attack down at all. Alright guys, so that is going to wrap up my kind of champion spotlight on this, I want to say, awesome epic of Fayne. I think she's really good. I do think you have to be careful with this champion as far as how you proceed, where you plan to use her. Hopefully this video sheds some light on that. I will be doing a guide on this champion, Baroth. I'm just going to call him that because I think it's his name, I'm not sure. As well as Kaiden, just to see. Now I did pull Kaiden, I am going to fuse him as well, so I will have two to play around with. And also, if this champion looks worthy, I'm going to build him, gear him up to 60, and kind of see what he has to offer. So look for that in the coming either days or hours. I'm not sure how many videos I'm going to release today, but those are the champions I'm going to be testing. If you want to stay up to date on the things I talk about, the things I go over, definitely join my Discord and we can have a chat there. Also, I will probably be building the other two epics live on stream. Check the description of this video. You will find my Twitch link there and you can watch me build and test these champions live before I determine what's worthy to release onto YouTube and make as far as a guide seeing where all of these fusion champions fit if you decide to aim for the epics instead of the legendary. So as always guys, thanks a ton for watching. I appreciate the support. If you like this content, don't forget to subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss my next video, and I will see you all in the next upload.